Hello and welcome to the end of March monthly video update from the Tau Chain team. You're here with me and my colleagues, Tomas, Juan, Ohad and Andrei, and we have Killian with us. I'll give you a bit more information about Killian a little bit later on the call. But as always, let's get right into it. I'm going to throw it over to Tomas for his monthly update.
So hello everyone. This month I've worked on memory mapping. It allows us to work with long files, and it is also a great way to delegate memory management to operating system. I've continued on the serialization API. It can work with the memory mapping. I've rewritten some of my old code regarding outputs and its limitations. Also, I've updated or added tests for outputs, parse errors, serialization, and memory mapping. And right now I'm working on memory mapping of the BDDs and also mapping of the TML's input. So, and after that I will continue to work on built-ins required for implementing the bot in TML. So that's all for this month from me.
Excellent stuff. I think everyone's very much looking forward to the updates to that TML bot. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw it over to Andrei for his updates. By the way, Andrei, you're muted.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is feeling okay in these hard times. I'm sitting at home, never saw a street in a week, I think. So what did I do this month? First of all, I finally implemented what I was trying to do, thinking to do for a while. It's GitHub CI, continuous integration. This will allow us to test and check automatically every commit we're committing to the repository, and check, make CPP checks, select tidy checks. It's checked for common problems, style problems, coding styles that can lead to bugs, and also I've added coverage report via code call. This will allow us to trace our coverage, test coverage of our code over the time. Also, this month I was working on HTTP model for TML. I wrote the skeleton mostly, wrote some tests, not all of them, but almost completed, and we'll integrate it as a model to TML so we can run HTTP server right from TML code. Yes, so that's pretty much it for this month. Thank you all. Keep safe.
All right, Andrei, thank you very much for your updates. Right now, I'm going to throw it over to Juan for his updates.
Hi, everybody. So this last month, my focus kept on the former background related to the arithmetic support, basically following Ohad recommendations and guidance. I've been analyzing certain improvements to the over BDD multiplication, especially in order to provide what we're looking forward to reach a better performance and execution efficiency. Additionally, I started approaching the compound term support for the VDDs, but of course this is a slow process. We are learning through some experimentation and slowly moving to feasible solutions. In one of the experiments that we have been approaching this month was a transformation for a BDD representing the multiplication operation, a transformation or logical transformation on top of it to analyze its sizes. That unfortunately the results were not successful, but it left us with a lot of learning about how to deal with such kind of Boolean transformation on top of an existing relationship representing a BDD. This stage is a little bit much of studying, a little bit of researching. So hopefully we will be able to share some relevant results, or at least feasible results in the coming month. So that's all by now.
And from my side of things, so we have a lot done in terms of internal work. Most of the work done this month was for staff, existing and future. A lot of recontracting and structuring for the future staff. You know, getting people on board isn't always so easy. There's a lot of complex work, especially when you're working across different countries. Some staff have different companies that they want to go under. It's just sometimes can be a bit of a challenge making sure that's all reconciled. So a lot of it was internal work and making sure our company works with them very well when they're covered, and we are also covered from a legal perspective, IP perspective, and just many other things that we want to make sure go very, very well. As I mentioned before, we have Killian with us, and he's going to give a few words shortly after me. And Killian is, you know, he's been with us for a while, not as part of the team, but in terms of part of the community. I'm sure you guys have, you know, if you guys have been looking at the IRC, he's goes under the username Mansky. So he's been, you know, following the project for a very, very long time. So he's going to be taking over as community manager, and you know, very, very happy to have him on board. We expect great things, not just for him, but for the entire project. And I really think this is going to be, you know, this is a fantastic addition to the company. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun having him on board, especially for you guys as well, because I know that some of the interaction and some of the things that you want to get done can finally get done. And you know, you can reach out to Killian on Telegram, and we'll figure out how to, you know, make the community more active with Killian on board. So there are three things that we're trying to achieve with this community management. A is you know, keeping the current community active. You know, and really solidifying what we have right now. Again, you guys don't really see it, but we have a large Chinese community. We also have a large Spanish community. We want to reconcile everything and make sure that all the information that we have, that we put out, is properly distributed across all of the different languages that are most important to us right now. It's very common. It's still very common that whenever we put information out, a lot of people don't really see it. So I'll see a question in the community channel, which it shows that someone hasn't seen a certain piece of content. What we want to do right now is make sure that when we put something out, when we talk about something, everyone, for the most part, knows about it. So it's quite important for us to make sure that it's resolved. Second thing is to grow the community. Killian's got some fantastic ideas on that. And just a little bit more about Killian. He is behind the Age of Change project, a fantastic project in the crypto space. see if you guys have heard of it, but if you guys have been in the crypto space for a little while, then you might have heard of that, and I certainly had. Yes, that's very, very cool. So he knows, he has a couple of ideas that he will be working on pretty soon. And then the third point is really utilizing the community and making you guys be able to bolster points 1 and 2. You guys helping us grow, he can help you do that. So yeah, so getting Killian on board is extremely valuable, and very, very happy to do that, have that happen. As relates to the other hires that are coming on, as I mentioned, we have 3 people, and at the beginning of this month, or end of last month, I think we had a late video before. So yeah, on the last video, I did mention that we have a couple of people joining as well. Those are now finalized. Just a case of the contracts being finalized as well. So looking forward to having those things untangled very, very soon. It gets a bit more admin work there for our legal team. And if anyone at home is very bored or you're looking for something to do, please jump into our community channels. Please write blog posts. Please feel free to jump on your social media, talk about us, get active, think of some ideas that will be useful for the project if you can. Reach out to Killian, get involved. Yeah, all of the above. So that's it from me. Over to Killian, and he'll say a couple of words before we go over to Ohad. I just want to add a little bit more to the conversation relating to the legal work that needs to take place. As I mentioned before, a lot of it has been done for the EU, and we're pretty solid there now. As it relates to the to the US, I've mainly been looking at specific exchanges. I know what we need to do in order for everything to go smoothly in the US. I've mentioned that before in numerous calls, but right now I'm just looking at specific exchanges requirements. So the guys at Bittrex and I had a call, and they've directed me some information that I need to look into. And that's something that I'll be doing this after this call and going forward. But as you guys know, and as we've already discussed, that exchanges aren't the most important thing right now. It's mainly focused on community, hence Killian. But that's just something that I'm going to be doing as well, just to understand a little bit more about the new frameworks, because there have been changes, even more changes since the last call I had. There's more changes to making things work with the US. So, it's just a case of us, getting there, and firstly and foremostly getting the product and the white paper out. But it is good for us to know what changes are going to be taking place and what each exchange needs from us in order for things to go smoothly. But that's it. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be here to join the team. I've been following taunet and IDNI since 2016. More from the sidelines. I was reaching out. I found Ohad in the IRC channel, and immediately got fascinated by the vision behind it, since it differentiates itself quite a lot from the existing other projects like Ethereum. And yeah, I'm happy to be here and help taunet and IDNI to become what we envision for it. And if anybody of the community has any questions, definitely reach out to me. I'm just getting started right now, but we are looking to have good things ahead. So yeah, glad to be here.
Thank you very much, and hello everyone. Now I can continue with this big change that he made, the dynamic bit ordering in the binary decision diagrams. You can see the work in the forks. You know, on GitHub you can see all the forks of the code, so you can see what's going on there. And still need to gain more confidence that nothing was broken, and also there is the non-trivial task of merging it with the current code base. So that's where things stand right now from that regard. This month I was also a little bit slowing down, because now it is the time to strengthen the immune system. So I was taking more rest than usual. I was going over literature again about Boolean unification, about Boolean unification that involves inequalities. It turns out that in the prominent literature about Boolean equality, Boolean equations and Boolean unifications, the treatment of inequalities, of being not equal, was an open problem for quite a long time. And only quite recently there were some new literature on this matter that seems to be very promising, and I have much more to learn on this matter. Also, this generalize naturally in the literature. When they deal with this, they deal also with lattice equations and also with congruence relations, which are kind of equivalence relation, and all this under the umbrella of the field called universal algebra. This is the literature that I've been reviewing on this this time, and why it is important, it will be clear in what I'm going to say now. I would like to give somehow a near to full account of where things stand with second order logic right now. So first, let's consider what already exists in the literature about what people know about solving second order logic. Well, typically, the few algorithms that are out there, they consider second order logic over infinite universe, and by that they consider undecidable logics. So their algorithms are suitable only for very special cases, and therefore not guaranteed to return answer all the time. Our setting is decidable because we are confined to finite universes, so those algorithms are not adequate for us. The nearest thing that exists is indeed the field of Boolean equations. Well, maybe I should also mention that explicit search is also used all over, but it is, of course, not something that we want to do. We want to do something better than simply checking all possibilities. So back to Boolean equations. Boolean equations get us a long way in the way of solving second order logic. It brings the problem to a form where, at least as far as I know, as for today, let's say this way, the only way that I know right now fully to solve second order logic is to convert them to Boolean equations and then employ the so-called resolution method in order to account for same relations referring to different variables. Using the resolution method is not a very clean solution, and I will emphasize on that, but even though we can go with it now, still we need to consider all the surroundings. Let me say what I mean by that. When we use second-order logic by definition is about defining relations by giving some logical formula, and we want all relations that satisfy this logical formula. By that, a relation is no longer unique. There can be many solutions to a second-order logic equation. But TML as it is right now, each table, each relation is a table, is unique. So we need to support tables which are not explicitly given. It gives rise to so-called partially defined Boolean functions. That, for example, in the analogy of tables, you can say that all tables that are superset of some given table and subset of some another given table. I say given, but I will later mention that there is also, there might arise a complication with dependencies that those bounds being superset of something and subset of something are not always given. Sometimes they themselves are partially defined, so-called. So aside the fact that we will need TML to support such representation of relations, we can also represent relations, so really all the internal representation of what's going on during the runtime of a TML program using a system of Boolean equations. You can think of it like as if the compression that we obtained from storing data naively in the memory as is, comparing to storing it in binary decision diagrams, by that achieving remarkable compression and speed. Same way we can think of the transition from binary decision diagrams to Boolean equations, where those Boolean equations, they always keep the form of equations. Each table is defined implicitly by equations, and only at the end we solve the equations using binary decision diagrams and obtain the final result. So that this would be apparently the way to go. So we need to redesign the internals of TML such that things will be defined using systems of Boolean equations. Now, I mentioned that a complication might arise in case that relations depend on each other, and while they are all partially defined. It turns out that in certain cases that arise in the field of synthesis of code from requirements, they define a complete specification to be some relation between input and output, and it is complete if for each input there corresponds exactly one output. And it was shown that for such complete specifications, we can get Boolean equations which are so-called tabular. They don't suffer from this interdependency. So first, of course, this as for itself is something very important for us, the ability to synthesize programs even easily, relatively as I describe it now, is very important for tau, for the beta. For the beta and for tau itself, of course. This tabular these equations of so-called tabular kind also give rise to reconsider our choice of using relational rather functional signature. As it seems, if instead of second-order logic over relations we do second-order logic over functions, this is logically it is the same. They can both do what each other can do, but in this formalism we get the Boolean equations in this tabular form that saves us from those interdependencies which can come with a large performance cost. Okay, so I was speaking about representing data as Boolean equations, and I was also speaking about the inadequacy, maybe, or the inconvenience of using the resolution method and the search for a better method. And in some deep sense, they both go together. In those Boolean equations, we can, instead of doing Boolean algebra as we do right now over the bits of the data, we can do Boolean algebra over congruence relations, a kind of equivalence relations that are enhanced with complementation. I mentioned that already in the previous video. So by that, if we can have a representation of data not as the bits themselves, but as equivalence relations, as Boolean algebra of congruence relations, we can even get an even more compression of the data. We can even quite immediately support some infinite universes. And we will also be able to support probably compound terms, because indeed the manipulation of compound terms, the whole difficulty is how to represent in a compressed way the substitution of variables, which is those very congruence relations. So this formalism of data as a system of equations over congruence relations can also finally give us a way to support compound terms in a compressed manner. And compound terms are so important because once we get compound terms, we can have a generic solver. We can write a solver for any logic. So that's all. That's where things stand right now.
All right, fantastic stuff. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to the updates for March. As you guys know, that we're all on lockdown right now. But I hope that you guys are at home are coping well. I hope you're having a more positive time and spending time with your families. And I wish everyone the best who's watching this. Stay tuned for the Q&A questions that we have coming up next. Alrighty, this question is from Andrew. And Andrew asks, 1, where are we now in the progress on second order logic? And 2, when can we expect to read the white paper? What is its goals?
So for the first part, I answered on the update. The author of the white paper is still studying the fields that are relevant to Tau, a lot of fields. including from the aspect of social choice theory, in order to be able to write fully and meaningfully about it. The white paper will have to present the product and the design in full detail, such that anyone with the background knowledge will be able to understand the full design. And also we give a strong emphasis on the ability for really everyone to read the white paper by trying to put the technical parts separate, so people could skip. And that's all for this question.
Okay, and this question is from Vadim. They say, would it be possible to update the README or make a cheat sheet to facilitate the learning of TML outside of the dev channel?
Yes, definitely. The README should be updated, and we already spoke about it. And I think in the forks you can already see some edits, but definitely we need and we will update the README.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning into the Q&A, and we hope to see you again next month. Again, please, there's always a discussion on the Telegram channel about, questions being answered. We answer all questions that are posted to us in the Q&A. Again, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, there's always a request for more content. Guys, if you want more content, ask more questions. That's real simple. If there's something that you want to see, you have a question about it, ask us and we'll answer all questions. We didn't get that many questions in the Q&A today. Would have loved to have more. It's much more exciting for us when we have a big list of questions. But as you know, the next updates on the product side are going to be extra special. We've been talking internally about doing some benchmarking. So hopefully on the next call, there'll be more Q&A questions, and hopefully more of you will be here to see those questions answered. All right. I look forward to the next video update. See you guys in April. Thank you.